Welcome to JavaScript programming series. In this video, let us see what are objects in JavaScript and how we can use them. In JavaScript, an object is a non-primitive data type, so used to store collections of data as key value pairs. So in JavaScript, object is a custom defined data type. So that means user defined data type. So we can use this to save the key value pairs. Okay, so these key value pairs are also known as the properties of an object. Okay, where the key is a string always. Okay, so key must be string always that uniquely identifies a value. So where the key is a string or symbol that uniquely identifies a value. The value can be of any data type, including primitive types and custom types. Primitive types includes strings, numbers, booleans, null, undefined symbol, big int, and custom types includes arrays, objects, functions, so anything. Okay, value can be any data type, but key should be string only. So let us start creating the JavaScript objects. Okay, so there are several ways to create objects in JavaScript. First one is the object literal. So that means directly creating the object with flower braces. And second one is the using new object constructor. Okay, let us see these two ways. So this is the previous video example. So here I'll create let employee equal to. So this is the first way of creating the object using the flower braces. Okay, we can call this as the object in JavaScript. Okay, so let me add few members. That means object will have the properties or key value pairs. Okay, so name equal to Venkat, comma, we can add multiple, age equal to 32, and city Hyderabad. So like that we can add any number of properties or key value pairs. Here you can see this one is the key and this is the value. Okay, so here this is the key and this is the value. So here you can see the data type of age is always number. The data type of age is number because we have assigned the number. So you can see here the data type of string is the data type of city is string because we have assigned the string to that property. Okay, so the data type of name is a string because we have assigned the string value to this particular property. As we have discussed, keys must be string types. Okay, so we can write like this or we can write like this also. Okay, so both are valid. Now this is how we can create the object in the first way. So second way is using the new object constructor. Okay, so here now I am showing you how to create the object using the second way. So department equal to new object. So this is the second way of creating the object. Here you can see I have created a variable and I have assigned that variable with the new object. Okay, so then I'm adding the properties to that. Okay, so this is the second way of creating the object in JavaScript. So here also we can add any number of properties. It is dynamic in nature. We can add any number of properties. So we have seen creating JavaScript objects. So these are the two different ways we can mostly use in JavaScript. So let us see the next topic. So accessing object properties. If you want to access the object properties, so we can use two different ways. First one is the dot notation. Second one is the bracket notation or index notation. So let us see these two. So here you can see object dot name. We are reading it with the object dot name. So we can call this as the dot notation. So if you want to access, so employee name, console dot log employee name. Okay, so here what I'm saying, so I'm reading the name of the object using the dot. So if you want to read any of the property or key of this particular object, so you need to use the dot notation. Okay, so we call it as a employee dot name. So if you want to read, so employee dot employee dot age. Okay, then we can read employee dot city. So this one is the dot notation. Okay, so this one is the dot notation. So reading or accessing the properties of an object with the dot notation, we can read like this. Okay, so let us try to execute this. Okay, you can see, so the name printed Venkat. Okay, the age printed 32, city printed Hyderabad. So this is how we can most commonly read the object properties in JavaScript. There is another way we can read the properties. Second notation is bracket notation, so or indexing. Okay, so index notation. So here you can see, so in the index notation or bracket notation, we will put the square brackets. Okay, we will put the square brackets. So inside that square brackets, we will give the key name or the property name. So what is the property name here? Name. Okay, so we are keeping that name here. So employee of name, employee of age, employee of city. So here we will call it as a employee.name, employee.age, employee.city. So both ways will gives you the same output. So these are the two different ways we can read the data from objects. Let me run this and show you. Okay, here you can see. So this is the first way of reading the object properties or keys properties, and this is the second way of reading the object properties. So this is how we can read the properties. This is how we can read the properties of an object. So for the second way also, here we can see same thing. Console.log department name, location, and console.log name and location. So you can see, so here we are reading the values from department object. Similar way, this one is the dot notation and this one is the bracket notation or indexing. So you can see here, so Hyderabad IT using the dot notation and Hyderabad IT using the index notation or bracket notation. So this one, so department and location, department and location. Okay, yeah. So this is how we can read the values from object. Okay, so using the dot notation and using the bracket notation. So let us look at the important key characteristics of the object. So you can see key characteristics of JavaScript objects. First one is the collection of properties. So here you can see objects are essentially containers for properties. We have seen this. Each property contains of a key and its associated value. So we have seen this. Each object contains a property, that means key, associated value. So key and value, key and value. So object is collection of key value pairs. And here the same thing we are saying. So key value pairs. Data within an object is organized into key value pairs. The key acts as the identifier for accessing the corresponding value. Methods. So we can keep the methods also inside a object. Okay, let us look at this. So here, let us modify this. Let me keep it first name. Then, so last name. suppose I'll keep some value. So first name and last name. So then if I want to get the full name, so here I'll give you full name. Full name I want to keep it as a function. Okay, let me keep it comma. Okay, now you can see. So this employee object is having properties and a method. So we can have value as a anything. So in the previous slide we have discussed key must be string always and the value can be anything. Here the value is a method, here the value is a string, here the value is a integer. So like that we can keep anything. So next thing, so let me keep this object. Let me cut this and copy above this one. So you can see I have created a department object and here I'll keep department. So department equal to department. So this is the another object. You can see here this is another object. So and I want to, so I can keep the value as a array also. So you can see that. So we are having the different combination of values inside an object. So this is an employee object. This employee object is having a string data type. I mean, so value as a string, value as a number, so and value as a function, and value as a object, and value as a array. Okay, so all these combinations are possible. That's where in the earlier slide we have seen value can be anything. So let me print, so let me comment this code. We have seen this already. Let me comment this one also. Okay, so now let me read it. Console.log, so employee dot full name. So you can see that. So we can read any property of the object. So here you can see, so we have read the so name property of object here. Here we are reading the full name property of the employee. So this full name property is having a method. Okay, so that's where we are calling that method. So method calling signature is opening and closing parenthesis. Okay, so this is the method calling signature. So when we call this, when we call employee.fullname, we will get this method as a value. And when we get that, we need to put this parenthesis so that that method will be called. Okay, so let me run this. So node, and you can see, so you can see the output printed as a Venkat C. Okay, so Venkat and C, first name and last name. So here we are returning the first name and last name. So you might get the question that what happens if we don't put this parenthesis. So let us read that. Employee dot full name. Now I am reading that. Let me run it. You can see. So it is a function. So it returned a function type. Full name of type function. Okay. So it is returning the entire function. So we need to call that to get the output. So like this, we need to call it. So Venkat C. Let's go back to the slides. So this one, methods. When a function is assigned as a value of a property, so it is referred to as a method. Methods allow objects to perform actions, so or encapsulate behavior. So next one, dynamic in nature. So objects in JavaScript are dynamic, meaning properties can be added, modified, or removed after the object has been created. So this, okay, the meaning of this dynamic nature is, so if there is a object, so this object doesn't have, so if there is a object, so we can add the properties after creating the object. So for example, you can take this. Department object is created. So when we are creating the department object, there are no properties we have defined. But after creating this department object, so you can see we have added a name property, then we have added a location property. So these two properties are not defined or added when we are creating the object. So we can add any number of properties like this. So suppose this employee has the first name, last name, age, city, full name, department, and hobbies. So there is no salary property in this, right? So let us try to read salary. Console.log employee.salary. Okay, so I'm reading the salary. So it is saying we will get the undefined output. So let me run that. So you can see we got undefined. So that means we can add any property or we can read any property of this one object. So there is no restriction. So it is completely dynamic. Okay, so as this is not there, so let us try to add that. Employee.salary equal to 5,000. Okay, 50,000. You can see now I have added the salary property dynamically. Okay, then I'm reading it. Let us see the output now. So you can see initially there is no property with that. Then we got the property. So it is printed the value 50,000. So that is how we can add the properties dynamic. So you can see here we are adding the properties with the dot notation, right? We can also add the properties dynamically or read the properties dynamically with bracket notation. So here we have seen already how to read the values using the bracket notation. So let me show you. So this one is correct. And let me show you how we can add it with bracket notation. Okay, that's a bracket notation. And you can see, so now I'm adding salary property to employee. So now employee will get added with this property with value 50,000. So this one is adding new property. So using bracket notation. So you can see that here. Okay, let me run that. You can see, so we got same output. Okay, let me put 60,000 here. Okay, let me save it. You can see the 60,000 printed. So we can read the properties with dot notation and bracket notation both, and also we can add the properties with dot notation and bracket notation both. Yeah. So we have seen this dynamic in nature. Objects in JavaScript are dynamic, meaning properties can be added, modified, or removed after the object has been created. Okay, we have seen this. So next one, mutable. Objects are mutable, so meaning their contents can be changed. Okay, when you assign an object to a new variable, you are essentially creating a reference to that original object. Let us see this now. So objects are mutable means, so we can modify the object values. So now I have added the location property here. So let me change that location property to do Bangalore. So you can see, so we can modify the object properties. Okay, so object is basically mutable. So let me add one more property. I mean, let me define one more sample object. So to this sample object, so I want to copy this one. So here the reference will be copied. Here you can see, so I have created a sample object here and I have copied the department object to this one. That means when we copy one object to another object, so there will not be new object created in the memory. So both will be pointed to the same memory. That means reference copy will be added. So if we reference copy means, so this department variable and this sample object variable both are having the same memory. Okay, both are pointing to the same memory. So here you can see, so I am modifying sample object.name to HR. So now, so we are modifying name of the sample object, but as we discussed, so reference, I mean memory location of these two objects are same. Okay, so that's where, so we can see department.name also modified. console.log department.name. So now we will get, so we have modified sample object.name. Okay, so and we are printing department.name. Now we will get HR as the output. So we can see, so we got the HR as the output. So that means when you are copying one object to other object, it will not duplicate actually. So it will copy the memory address to this one. That means both are having the same memory but two names. Yes. So that's the mutable. So this is the basic information about the objects inside JavaScript. So going forward, we will discuss more about the JavaScript objects.